Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome to one and all, graduates and guests, families and friends. It may be a little gray outside, but it's certainly a beautiful day in here. After all, today is a day of celebration. Not everyone agrees, apparently. It's a rite of passage. My name is Peter Dewick, and I'm the Director of Admissions and Registrar here at Royal Roads University. Those of us who work in my office are lucky. We were there at the beginning of your journey at Royal Roads, listening as many of you expressed doubts about your readiness to embark on this academic path, and watching as you gathered the determination to make it happen. Then we were present again, paying careful attention as you completed every step on the path, recording your every success. And now it's our pleasure to join you as you celebrate this accomplishment. What you have achieved is nothing short of amazing. Many of you have been balancing the demands of your educational experience alongside family responsibilities and career obligations, and that's never easy. The time has come to sit back, take a deep breath, and enjoy each moment as we celebrate you and the work you've now completed. Today marks the 34th convocation of Royal Roads University. We are so pleased you've all been able to join us. Today is your celebration. Together we look back with pride at what you've accomplished in this phase of your academic studies. And just as importantly, we look ahead with hope, knowing you have plans to use your newly enriched potential to create positive change in the world around us. Before we begin, I have a few points to share with you. First, on your way into the theater, you should have received a convocation program. This includes the order of this morning's ceremony and the names of this fall's graduates. Second, in just a few moments, you will hear the strains of bagpipes announcing the academic procession of the platform party. I will ask you to rise just before the piper enters the theater. Meanwhile, please ensure all cell phones and other electronic devices are turned off for the duration of the ceremony. Also, we ask that you remain at your seats for the duration of the proceedings. Professional photographers are positioned to capture the moment your graduate crosses the stage. Please do not block the aisles, as our graduates will use these to access the stage. Thank you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remain at your seats for the procession of the platform party. Ladies and gentlemen, please join in the singing of our Canadian National Anthem, led by Eve Richardson.
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love, in all thy sons command, with glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Thank you, Eve. I'm now pleased to introduce you to Asmanahai Antoine, our Manager of Indigenous Education and Student Services. Asmanahai is here to provide us with a welcome on behalf of the Lekwungen families of Esquimalt and Songhees, on which Royal Road students work, study, and live. Asma will thank all present, family, friends, faculty, and staff for joining in the celebration of our student success, and will offer congratulations to graduating students. We are grateful to Asmanahai for joining us today and thus reminding us of the rich heritage of human presence on these beautiful lands.
Wow. Good morning, everyone. Haichkasiem, members of the Board of Governors, faculty, guests, graduands, and friends. On behalf of Chief Andy Thomas from Esquimalt Nation and Chief Ron Sam from Songhees Nation, both send their regrets that they could not be here today, but they are here in spirit. With their permission today, I have the privilege to offer a traditional welcome and congratulations to all the graduate students. First, I would like to acknowledge we are on traditional Lekwungen lands, home for the Esquimalt and Songhees families. Please note, along the waters all around Victoria Inner Harbor and around Esquimalt Lagoon, where Royal Roads University rests, was once the roads between the First Nations communities. If we take a moment and think about the land before it became Royal Roads University, before it became the military college, before the Dunsmuir family, the Songhees and Esquimalt families once lived there. They harvest the land for the resources, for medicines, for food, and for shelter, and shared those lands' resources with their neighboring nations with Sook and Beecher Bay. I'm thinking about all of the different stories that is shared among the lands, and if the trees could talk, there would be many. And graduate students, you are now become one of the stories among the lands that is there and untold and stays there. My name, Asmanahai, means caring for precious ones, and it comes from my mother's side, who is Nuchonal from the Tokort Nation, and my last name, Antoine, is from my dad's nation, which is Carrier-Sicani. To speak of the lineage of my family is because I want you to take a moment to think about your families here today and give a warm thank you in your hearts and in your spirits, a silent, whether they're here physically or in the spiritual world, and give thanks for your family to help guide you today. Graduates, today we are here to celebrate your accomplishments and successes. Please note, among the faculty and staff, they can hear buzzing about your success stories with each other, and it's an honor to be among those stories and to hear the pride in each and every one of them. How I've been taught is to raise our hands and say Haichka Siem on behalf of the Lekwungen language, and also on behalf of your language, then in turn you would say thank you in your own language. And I want you to take a moment to think about that as you're finished your success today. This is a sign of honor and respect in the relationship you've built and shared throughout your journey together. Note, some of the faculty and staff who were once your mentors today have now become your friend. On September 23rd, the building I work in, formerly called the Aboriginal Learning and Cultural Center, received a new traditional name picked by the Railroad's University community and extended community members. I want to close with the symbolic meaning of Snakwa Ailen, the Blue Heron House, as I believe it's very fitting for everyone here. Blue herons represent an ability to progress and evolve. Their long, thin legs reflect that an individual doesn't need great, massive pillars to remain stable, but must be able to stand on one's own. Blue herons have the innate wisdom of being able to maneuver through life and co-create their own circumstances. These individuals know what is best for them and need to follow their hearts rather than the prompting of others. The blue heron symbolizes patience, grace, balance, and determination. To all graduate students, congratulations on all of your accomplishments. In the spirit of the ancestors of the land, Haichka Siem, and the spirits of my ancestors, Kleko, Kleko.
Haichka, thank you, Asmanahai and Tuan. Please be seated. It's now my pleasure to introduce our academic platform party, and I'll ask each to rise briefly as I call out their names. Ladies and gentlemen, the Chancellor of Royal Roads University and Chair of the University's Board of Governors, Dr. J. Peter Meekison, QC. The President and Vice Chancellor, Dr. Alan Cahoon. Our honorary degree recipient this morning, Ms. Elise Allen. The Assistant Deputy Minister of Advanced Education, Mr. Joe Thompson. The Vice President Academic and Provost, Dr. Stephen Grundy. The Vice President and Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Dan Tulip. The Dean of the Faculty of Social and Applied Sciences, Dr. Matthew Heinz. The Associate Vice President, Research and Faculty Affairs, Dr. Mary Barnard. Then we have a number of our members of the Board of Governors, Dr. Charles Kruzikoff, Ms. Melissa McLean, Mr. Joel Rosenberg, Mr. Tony Ruffalo, and Mr. Wayne Strandland. Also joining us today in the platform party are members of the university's faculty, and I ask them now to rise and be recognized.
Members of the Board of Governors, faculty, guests, graduands, and friends, today is the 34th convocation for Royal Roads University. A convocation is a time to pause and to reflect. It is also a time to recognize and celebrate the academic achievements of today's graduating class through the conferring of degrees and certificates. Today is my final convocation as Chancellor of Royal Roads University, as my term of office comes to an end at the end of this year. It's been an honor and privilege to serve in this capacity and to work with so many wonderful people at the university, staff, faculty, and students. Today, I want to talk about relationships. Reflecting upon the varying roles I've fulfilled over the past few decades, I've come to appreciate the importance of relationships, personal ones, professional ones, those between governments, and relationships between peoples and cultures, and how relationships have influenced outcomes. It is these relationships of trust developed between both individuals and peoples that assist in moving the sticky points towards resolution. I did not enter directly into the study of political science, but came to it through the back door after completing a degree in engineering, and then decided to change fields. But what to do? I thought I'd take economics, but at UBC, one needed a double major. So I added political science by default. It's an odd juxtaposition of degrees. Some might think the switch is an odd one. Engineering to political science. But engineers solve problems, and in the field of Canadian politics, there have been no shortage of problems. In my first course in Canadian politics, a guest lecturer gave a series of lectures on federalism. I was riveted by what he said. I know, to each his own. But I was hooked. My term paper for the course examined Canada's search for a constitutional amending formula. Several years later, the research that I had done was instrumental in developing Alberta's position on the general amending formula. I must confess to all that I got a 7 out of 10 on the paper, which may be a B minus or a B, depending on how you look at it. But I also misspelled the word amend, thinking it looked better with 2 M's. This, of course, was before spell check. In 1965, this sort of dates me, the Royal Commission on Bilingualism and Biculturalism produced its preliminary report. I picked the report off the new acquisition shelf at Duke University Library and began to riffle through it. One sentence in particular caught my attention and has remained with me ever since. The commissioners wrote, "We have been driven to the conclusion that Canada, without being fully conscious of the fact, is passing through the greatest crisis in its history." Wow, I thought, has the country changed that much in the 3 years I'd been away? What was this crisis the commissioners were referring to? Whatever it was, I knew I wanted somehow to play a part in averting it. I was then in my final year of my PhD studies. The report referred to Quebec being a distinct society and the need for dialogue between English and French-speaking Canadians. In essence, that report and the subsequent final report was about critical relationships within Canada. 4 years later, in 1969, I became an advisor to the Alberta government and attended my first constitutional conference in Ottawa. And in one capacity or another, I was actively involved in all constitutional negotiations for the next 23 years. In 1974, the government of Alberta approached me to see if I would be interested in working in the newly established Department of Federal and Intergovernmental Affairs. I'd already planned to take a year's sabbatical leave and decided to accept. 2 years later, I was in the thick of a series of federal-provincial negotiations over patriation of the Canadian Constitution and a number of other specific constitutional reforms. There were also legal challenges that Alberta and some other provinces initiated after the Government of Canada decided to embark on a unilateral course of action. The objective of patriation was to transfer control over Canada's Constitution from the United Kingdom Parliament to Canada. The outcome of those legal challenges and subsequent negotiations altered the course of Canadian history. Although patriation of the Constitution and its amendment was achieved, it was done over the objections of Quebec. It was 31 years ago yesterday that the patriation agreement was reached. Two subsequent efforts to bring closure to the matter were the 1987 Meech Lake Accord and the 1992 Charlottetown Accord. Both ended in failure. To that extent, the Constitution remains unfinished business. But the 1982 constitutional amendment included the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, Aboriginal rights, equalization, and the amending formula. All of these subjects continue to engage Canadians and their governments in debate today. One that readily comes to mind is Senate reform. I won't digress on that. While in government, I had the opportunity to travel throughout Canada and to build relationships with people from the federal, provincial, and territorial governments. The result was my deep appreciation of the regional, cultural, and other differences that coexist side by side within a system of shared values and sense of community. Although positions and perspectives differed, participants in negotiations came to trust each other. These personal relationships, or trust ties, are critical to overcoming intergovernmental disputes and obstacles that arise constantly and which have the potential to escalate into more serious problems. Moreover, these relationships endure long after the issue has been resolved. In 1993, I became involved in an even greater life-changing experience. I was appointed a commissioner on the Royal Commission on Aboriginal Peoples to replace one of the commissioners who had resigned. The Commission's mandate was comprehensive. Our 1996 report included recommendations on self-government, land claims, economic development, health, housing, education, justice, and other issues critical to the relationships between Aboriginal peoples and Canadians and their governments. The recommendations in the report were many and varied, but the report, along with its research studies and the record of hearings, continues to be a source for understanding and furthering the relationship between Aboriginal peoples and Canadian society. Every time I think about our report and its recommendations, I think of the word respect. To me, respect is the underlying principle upon which all healthy relationships are based. It is as essential to the relationship between Aboriginal peoples and other Canadians as it is in family relationships. Our research on the history of the residential schools probably affected commissioners more than any other matter we examined. The appointment by the Government of Canada of a Truth and Reconciliation Commission for residential school leavers stems from our report. Hopefully its efforts will go a long way in healing the wounds left by such institutionalization and abuse. A few weeks ago, I had the privilege, and you've already heard about this, of being a witness at the opening of Blue Heron House on the Royal Roads University campus. As a witness, I am obligated forever to remember what was said at the opening ceremony. And in my remarks, I commented on the chapter in the Royal Commission's report on education. It is worth repeating the beginning of the report's chapter on education. I quote, "In Aboriginal societies, as in many societies, children are regarded as a precious gift. Control over the education of their children has been a pressing priority of Aboriginal peoples for decades. This is not surprising. The destiny of a people is intricately bound to the way its children are educated. Education is the transmission of cultural DNA from one generation to the next. It shapes the language and pathways of thinking, the contours of character and values, the social skills and creative potential of the individual. It determines the productive skills of a people. End of quote. Over the years, I've been fortunate to be able to combine theory and practice. For the reason I like Royal Road so much, the applied nature of its degrees. The combination of working at the university and in the public service allowed me to develop and propose solutions to seemingly intractable problems. An experience that fulfilled my graduate student dream, becoming involved in the future of Canadian federalism. When switching to political science, I could never have predicted this career path and my participation in Canada's constitutional odyssey. Underlying all of my experiences, however, lay the importance of relationships, starting with the most obvious one of family and friends. At all levels, be they within academia, government, or in other professions, relationships are shaped and influenced by individuals. It is the intersection of such relationships and the ideas produced that has been so rewarding to me over the years. One relationship that has been so very important to me is my relationship with the students I have taught over the years. The opportunity to guide and supervise people who share your enthusiasm and curiosity about a topic you love is very special. Seeing those eureka moments when an expression of bewilderment turns into one of comprehension makes it all worthwhile. Now, let me tell you a story. During the time of my life when I was deeply immersed in the patriation negotiations, my wife gave me a maple leaf for Christmas. Not just any maple leaf, but one that still remaining its dark crimson color, being dried, pressed, and beautifully framed on a dark green background. As a piece of art, it certainly made the grade, but that isn't why she gave it to me. She gave it to me because to her, it represented Canada and all it stood for. And it represented my career as a Canadian political scientist or constitutional geek. It's true. It is to both of us a symbol of a certain period of our lives and of a culture, a way of life, and an incentive. It has hung over my desk for more than 30 years. I look at it every day, and as I do, I think of many things. Mainly, it reminds me of how very fortunate I have been to live in this country. No nation is perfect, and certainly not Canada. But here, unlike some countries around the world, we have opportunity. Opportunity to grow, to risk, and to make life better. Not just for ourselves, but for others in this increasingly small world of ours. And we have a society around us that will support us in our endeavors. I've been fortunate to have had the opportunity to help effect change, to aim for something better than what is. Bettering what is something we can and should do in our personal lives, our communities, our country, and sometimes beyond. So, find a symbol of your own that reminds you to strive to make change for the better. Try to be generous with that most valuable commodity, time, to give back some of what has been given to you. Courage, strength, persistence, diligence, and commitment, all of which you have, or you wouldn't be sitting here today. Perhaps this week you'll find something, a picture, an ornament, a box, some memento that you'll keep for the rest of your life, to remind you of today and the importance of this milestone in your life, to remind you of how you got here and where you plan to go as a result of obtaining your degree from Royal Roads University. So reflect on the past few years, which I'm sure have witnessed many defining moments for you, and take your new skills back to your communities, your workplaces, your homes, and help to make the world a better place. It is my hope that each one of you graduates will form personal and collegial relationships that enrich your lives as mine has done. Thank you for your attention and best wishes in your future endeavors. At the beginning of my remarks, I noted that this was a celebration, and it is a celebration. So when your loved one crosses the stage, say, "That's my dad. Way to go, Mom. That's my grandfather." And there's a contest between the morning ceremony and the afternoon. Now, you won't be here to hear the results of the afternoon ones. You have to take it on faith. But don't hold back. Today's your day. Thank you very much.
Hajka Siem. I'd like to acknowledge the fact that we are in the traditional Coast Salish territory and the surrounding territories of the San Jesus, Guymont, Beecher Bay, and Sauk First Nation, as Asma has informed us and instructed us this morning. What she said was that Royal Roads was an important part of the communities, in the Luangan communities that were in this region at that point. And they used the lands where Royal Roads is for a gathering place, an opportunity to exchange, to trade, and to worship and study. And so we're privileged to continue that tradition and that responsibility. Royal Roads University was created to respond to the emerging needs of the changing world and workforce. We now have over 19,000 alumni in over 60 countries, and after 18 successful years, we've proved that what at its time was an educational innovation in the post-secondary system is in fact a success. We have established ourselves as a world-class post-secondary institution that provides options for learners that others more traditional universities cannot. We are being recognized internationally and at home as leaders in graduating critical thinkers, great leaders, and global citizens. We are creating an intergenerational and international learning environment that is producing global leaders such as yourselves. Our innovative learning and teaching model is catching the attention of universities around the world who want to work with us and learn from Royal Roads in order to produce outstanding graduates like those that sit before us today. Graduates, you join a highly networked community of learners and leaders when you arrived at Royal Roads. Learning and the skills you acquire as part of your education matter. They matter for British Columbia, for Canada, and the world. They result in higher productivity, innovation, labor market development, and overall economic growth. For learners, they usually result in better wages, greater job satisfaction, greater self-esteem, improved health, and quality of life. Learning, however, is not an endpoint. Rather, it's a continuous process that occurs throughout one's life. For the health of our society, it becomes all the more critical, this continuous learning in the face of increased global challenges. According to David Blunkett, the former UK Secretary of Education and Employment, in a knowledge-driven economy, the continuous updating of skills and the development of lifelong learning will make the difference between success and failure and between competitiveness and decline. As you reflect on your experience at Royal Roads, let me propose that you consider an integral part of our learning and teaching model, the 5 pillars: the importance of learning to know, the development of skills and knowledge needed to function in the world, the formal acquisition of literacy, numeracy, critical thinking, and general knowledge, the mastery of learning tools. Second, the skill of learning to do. As the Chancellor has mentioned, the importance of taking learning and applying it to professional and personal success. Third, important skill of learning to live together. The development of social skills and values such as respect and concern for others, of social and interpersonal skills, and the appreciation of cultural diversity. These are fundamental building blocks for social cohesion as they foster mutual trust and support and strengthen our communities and our society as a whole. Fourth, learning to be. Learning that contributes to the person's mind, body, and spirit. Skills that include creativity and personal discovery, acquired through reading, the internet, and activities such as sports and arts. And 5, the learning to transform oneself in society. When individuals and groups gain knowledge, develop skills, and acquire new values as a result of learning, they are equipped with the tools and mindset of creating lasting change in organizations, communities, and societies. These learning pillars are firmly planted in the bedrock of our applied, team-based experiential learning model. We have, by design, taken on the challenge of re-envisioning post-secondary education to make it meaningful in the world in which we live. In case you hadn't seen a headline in the Times Colonist recently, which was, "Amid school cuts, Royal Roads opts to expand," suggests that in spite of the challenges faced in universities and college system, and Joe, I don't need to remind you of that since you're with us today, Royal Roads is bucking the trend. And why is that? By design, Royal Roads is the only university in the province with a mandate specifically targeted to meeting BC labor market needs, to fill the skills gap. Success, even with limited resources, I must say, is due to our choice to shift support to programs that are growing and healthy in areas of student and employer need, and away from those that are struggling and declining. So at least when we had the conversation last night, not only are we innovative in the kinds of programs we design, but we also assure that those programs which are not as current, we also halt and no longer offer. So we have that responsibility. As a result, Royal Roads has a market-responsive set of degree programs and certificates in fields that are represented in Convocation today. Royal Roads has always been a pioneer in implementing the extraordinary technological changes that are sweeping at the education forum today. And our faculty this fall started an engagement about the future of technology and how it will impact on Royal Roads. And they've self-organized a conference that will be happening next week, I believe, in which that dialogue will continue. We are pioneers in the use of blended learning delivery system, a combination of online and on-campus programs that maximizes the use of our limited resources. We meet budget pressures because of outstanding staff and faculty who are passionate about what they do and why we do it. We have a unique institution-wide integrated teaching and learning model that guides the delivery and design of new programs. We are blessed in this province with a vibrant and diverse post-secondary system that share a collective commitment to the development of this province. It is distinctive in the diversity of the institutions in terms of their focus, mandate, emphasis on teaching and research, and local and international responsiveness. Unfortunately, BC universities and colleges are under threat at a time when they offer an obvious solution to the challenges the province faces. Investments in post-secondary education are what the citizens of BC need for future prosperity. So I'm delighted that you demonstrate for us the value of your education and are very much a part of where we're going. Royal Roads is earning its way and will continue to provide enormous value to the future of BC and beyond as we celebrate the achievements of 898 graduates today. The world continues to change, and to remain relevant, we will change with it. We are building at Royal Roads the foundation to address the need for greater commitment to global citizenship and global leadership. As our knowledge of the world increases, so does our responsibility to make wise decisions with regard to wealth creation, justice, environment, and peace, among other considerations. Let's all be certain. No one possesses all the answers to the pressing issues of our time. The only certainty is that each of us is invested with the responsibility to take action based on knowledge to allow for sustained progress. The vital connect between listening, learning, and leading sits at the very heart of our mandate. It is the connection that has brought us here today. To celebrate what has been accomplished, to rest for one moment before we continue to solve problems and create change and opportunity for the world. Today, we will graduate, as I said, 898 students. 197 of those students are from places other than Canada, including Bangladesh, Belgium, China, Cuba, France, Germany, Hong Kong, India, Mexico, the Republic of Moldova, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, Switzerland, Taiwan, United Kingdom, United States, and Uruguay. Thank you.
Now I would like to call on Mr. Joe Thompson to bring greetings on behalf of the Honorable Amrik Virk, Minister of Advanced Education.
Good morning. Thank you for inviting me to join you for Royal Road University's 34th Convocation ceremony. I would like to acknowledge our presence on the traditional territory of the Esquimalt and Songhees First Nations. The Honourable Minister Virk would like to have been here today to mark this important occasion, but unfortunately due to scheduling conflicts, that was not possible. Having said that, it is truly an honor for me to be here to bring greetings on behalf of the Government of British Columbia. This really is the best part of my job, except for talking about resources now and then. So as mentioned, I understand there are 898 credentials being awarded at these ceremonies, 197 of them going to international students, and certainly some of those students have traveled far from their homes to be with us here today. And I would like to congratulate the CEO of GE Canada, Elise Allen, and former Bank of Canada Governor David Dodge, who will receive honorary degrees. Commitment to lifelong learning is a hallmark of Royal Road students. I know many of you have earned your credentials while working full-time in demanding careers and balancing family responsibilities. Just think of all the free time you're going to get to enjoy now. We are very fortunate there are so many outstanding choices for post-secondary education in British Columbia. In deciding to attend Royal Roads, you have the benefit of an outstanding faculty and a beautiful campus. The investment you have made in your education will provide you with rewards that will last a lifetime and create a foundation for your success, both personally and professionally. Convocations are unique among the milestones of our lives because they celebrate past accomplishments and anticipate the future. As you prepare to enter the next phase of your life, your career, I encourage you to take some time to reflect on your success. You should be very proud. I give my sincere congratulations to all of the graduates gathered here today. Thank you.
We are pleased to confer the Honorary Doctor of Law degree today on Ms. Elise Allen. Dr. Marilyn Taylor, will you please present our honorary degree candidate, Ms. Elise Allen?
Elise Allen is a passionate champion for better ways of doing business. With an analytical mind, she is known for her ability to see the big picture and help others to see it as well. As President and Chief Executive Officer of GE Canada and Vice President of parent company GE, Elise is responsible for advancing the company's diverse business interests, which span from appliances to finance and healthcare. With a focus on driving innovation and meaningful change, Elise has lent her leadership to initiatives like economic development in remote communities and sustainable energy management. Elise is a strong communicator and an inclusive leader. She sees opportunities to connect with communities and businesses to work with their needs in order to advance social and economic goals for the broader community. Elise brings this approach to her work with industry groups, with public policy development, and the community. She serves on board of directors for several organizations and is an active mentor both within GE and in the community. She is a passionate champion for science and literacy learning for youth, as evidenced through her support in GE's partnership with Actua. The organization inspires over 220,000 youth annually to learn and interact with science, technology, engineering, and math programs. Elise champions these programs with a special focus on Aboriginal youth involvement. Elise has been recognized as a YMCA 2012 Woman of Distinction, a top 100 business women of influence by the Women's Executive Network, and as Canadian Business Magazine's 25 Most Powerful People in Canada for 2009. For her notable contribution in innovative leadership and community building, Royal Roads is honored to present Elise Allen for the honorary degree Doctor of Laws.
Ms. Elise Allen, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Royal Roads University Act, and in accordance with the recommendation of the Board of Governors of Royal Roads University, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Laws honoris causa, with all the rights, privileges, and honors here and elsewhere thereto appertaining. Ms. Allen will now be hooded by Dr. Stephen Grundy, Vice President, Academic, and Provost. Dr. Alan Cahoon will now present Dr. Elise Allen with her degree. It is now with great pleasure that I call on Dr. Elise Allen to deliver her convocation address. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Chancellor Meekinson, Vice Chancellor and President Dr. Cahoon, members of the Board of Governors, faculty members, graduates, your families, ladies and gentlemen, and kids. Thanks so much for this special recognition that you have bestowed upon me today. I am most grateful. To all the graduates, congratulations. I am delighted to be with you to celebrate this moment where your effort is rewarded and your academic accomplishments are recognized. As Chancellor Meekinson said, celebrate it and enjoy it. I'm proud to be associated with Royal Roads University. In learning about my new alma mater, and I still have much to learn, but I have developed an appreciation for its rich military history, its very progressive and forward-thinking program offerings, and its significant contribution then and now in developing leaders. Since receiving your invitation to address this convocation, I've considered what profound wisdom I could impart on you today in these minutes. I considered what might be the success factors in the category of convocation remarks. First that came to mind was brevity, and second was maybe a humble goal of leaving you with one inspirational idea or provocative thought that might just stick beyond this moment. During the same period of time over the past couple of months, like you, I was reading headlines that were highlighting J.P. Morgan and other banks paying huge fines for wayward decisions and dishonest traders, Canadian senators accused of fraud at taxpayers' expense, accomplished cyclists and baseball players admitting to breaking rules, drug rules, global giants like Siemens and homegrown heroes like SNC-Lavalin crippled by employee-led bribery schemes, and my Toronto mayor's ongoing mea culpas. All situations where individuals chose behaviors that undermined the trust that they had been given by behaving not just beyond the defined boundaries that govern them, but outside the spirit intended by those boundaries. This is a visible characteristic of the world that some of you are heading into today to start new jobs, launch careers, and pursue new initiatives, or the environment where many of you are already operating within. And it's troublesome. And with that in mind, I asked the question on a special day like today, what is your silver lining in those headlines? Is there one? And the answer to that question is my message to you today. Each one of you has the opportunity to differentiate yourself and to offer people like me in business or anywhere else you might choose to go next something very, very special. One of the most valuable assets in the market today, and that is trust. Life is full of choices. I encourage you to be a person and a leader who chooses to trust others and to be the person whom others can trust. Trust is the underpinning of our democratic and our civil society. Trust with integrity, our fundamental values and our national defense code of conduct. Trust is the basis for our most intense personal relationships. Trust between leaders, employees, stakeholders, and customers is essential to any organization's performance and reputation. And yet, trust seems to be in short supply as we look at the world around us. There's a company called Edelman, and they conduct global surveys on trust, and they've done it for a number of years. And they do it globally around the world, many countries, tens of thousands of people. They issue annual results in their trust barometer. The headline this year declared that there is a, quote, a crisis in leadership. The data is all on the web for you to see, and I think you'll find the 2013 results intriguing, and I paraphrase. Global results show that among the informed public, that's folks like all of you who are smart and have studied and are educated, in most markets around the world, less than 50% of you say that government and business leaders are credible sources of, less than 50% say that government and business leaders are credible sources of information about a company. When we come to Canada, the good news is academics and technical experts continue to be seen as the most credible spokespeople among Canadians, while CEOs and government officials remain at the bottom. In fact, in Canada, only 35% say CEOs are credible, and 45% say the same about government officials. Why? Well, the numbers are telling because only 10% of Canadians trust business leaders a great deal to make ethical and moral decisions, and only 8% trust government leaders to do the same. You know, I find these findings worrisome indeed, especially when I think of a company like mine, where a focus on integrity and trust is such a core value that translates into everything. Our hiring practices, your annual assessments, a personal signed commitment that each of us make annually to the company, and it's ultimately so critical to our success and reputation. We need your help to rebuild trust in our institutions, business communities, and governments. In a world that is far more open and informed, we have to be able to work across the divides of government, NGOs, and business to get simply anything accomplished. How can we engage in positive action, resolve disputes amicably, when we don't trust the person on the other side of the table? The answer is we can't. While I speak to the issues I deal with at work, you all know that this is equally true at home around the dinner table. So let me just share 3 factors that might help you build your personal trust barometer. I'm going to speak briefly to confidence in knowing who you are, courage to do the right thing, and commitment as a leader to do what you say you're going to do. Let's call them the 3 C's. I'll apologize in advance. A few of the stories I'll tell are GE related. It's not a commercial, it's just what I know, and it's an easy story to tell. You know, the development of trust starts at an early age and continues to evolve as our life experiences unfold. I'm sure we can all remember a time when we were confronted with the dilemma of telling the truth. I think of these as cookie jar moments. It might have been the time that you took a few cookies before dinner, and when confronted by an adult, you shook your head in denial that your hand had not been in that cookie jar. Or maybe you took a flashlight under the covers to read long after an adult said, "Lights out, time for bed." In the end, you typically maybe got caught by your lack of appetite at dinner or the fact that you couldn't wake up the next morning for school. But over time, we learn the consequences of our actions and the amount of effort it takes not to be truthful, especially to a parent or a loved one. As we move through school, we learn about friends, those to rely on, and those we can't trust. And we develop reasons for not trusting someone, often resulted from something they did or didn't do that took us off balance and made us feel less confident in that relationship. Our academic career provides valuable lessons around truth also, as we understand the consequences of cheating or plagiarism, or the real value in teams who work openly and honestly together. Over time, as our self-confidence, it rises with these experiences. I believe that we each develop a moral compass, a navigation tool that helps guide our behavior in terms of what is right and what is wrong. At GE, we take a great effort to work with employees to develop their self-confidence about doing the right things. We need to ensure that folks have a good moral compass about what that is. When I meet with new hires at orientation, I talk about the many situations that they might encounter where the rules aren't clearly written, where they will have choices to make between something that is right and something that isn't. But it will not be a black and white decision. And we work together to help them learn through those very murky situations and to develop the self-confidence to ask, discuss, and make decisions. A quick story, an example of what I mean in work, and the story is true, but the names are changed. So let's say there was a king of Mozambique, and he needed to build a power plant. We sell power stuff. We had a new leader in Africa, and that leader in Africa was trying to make sure that one of our senior officials could meet and help sell this power plant to the king. And so a luncheon had been set up with the king, and the new sales leader was very excited that he was able to bring in our senior leader, our senior vice president, to meet with the king. Well, that morning, they're getting ready for the meeting, the phone rings, and the phone, why, it's the king. And the king's official at the king's office, and the king's office says, you know, if you want to have lunch today, it's going to cost you $50,000. Well, the young sales leader in Africa thinks about that. He knows that the company wants to win that power plant. Yet here he has a dilemma, because now it's going to cost him to have lunch with the king. So the good news is he goes to his boss and he asks the question, and he says, this is what has happened. He was all in a tizzy, and the leader knew that he was upset. What's wrong? He said, well, to have lunch with the king, we have to have lunch with the king to win the power plant. But to have lunch with the king, it's now going to cost us $50,000. And our vice president, Nani, says, well, what do you think we should do? He says, well, I don't know. I know you've hired me to win the power plant, but the $50,000. And Nani says, yes, but if it costs $50,000 to have lunch, how much do you think it will be to have dinner and to win the power plant? And so we didn't have lunch. Why do we focus on this? GE's been around since Thomas Edison founded us in 1876. Millions of employees have worked to build a company whose brand is one of the most valuable in the world. In this day, regardless of the size of your company, one employee lacking the self-confidence to take the right action can undermine all the value of a GE or anyone's company or organization. Whether you're talking about GE or the local hotel or the local United Way, those organizations and stakeholders trust that the employee team and the board of directors will make sound decisions for the organization. Self-confidence is the foundation of my second C, courage. Courage is the ability to articulate and to act to challenge the status quo, to push the rules, to say what no one else is maybe willing to say. Courage is hard. It can take you out of your comfort zone. So it's important that when you're out of that zone, you do your homework. It means having the facts and then the information to back you up. And in order to hone your points of reference, regardless of where you work, have the courage to always look at the bigger picture. Let me give you another example of courage, and again, I apologize for a G example, but they're easy and they're top of mind. About 7 years ago, the chairman of GE took a big swing, and he called it eco-imagination. Our customers were coming to us, and they were all asking about, could we help them with all this pressure that they were getting around environmental challenges? A lot more question about how to reduce their environmental footprint. Well, at the same time, how could they increase operating efficiencies? Our chairman, Jeff Immelt, saw the big picture. First, increasing global demand for resources, energy, water was happening everywhere. Second, you had the emergence of developing nations needing a lot of things. And third, you had population growth, more urbanization. Lots of issues on lots of customers. So he, along with a few others, thought about a strategy called eco-imagination. Jeff had to convince the board of directors that this was the right direction. And then he had to drive that strategy within an organization. It wasn't easy to do. Initially, there was actually a lot of criticism externally, saying we would be greenwashing, a big company can't do this, doesn't mean it, what's behind the words? And internally, people were saying, wow, are we misallocating resources? Why are we going to go this new direction? And yet, it was a big swing, and it required imagination and courage. And there was no doubt that Jeff was the leader and that the team trusted him and supported that direction when he said, it's the way we're going. The result? Today, eco-imagination generated $70 billion in new revenues. Yes, that's billion. We've developed over 100 eco-certified products. We met customers' needs to reduce operating costs and reduce the environmental footprint. And we've delivered millions of hits to the website. And there's no doubt that the chairman's courage to lead the company on a new path delivered a successful business strategy. His courage also revealed the leadership team's trust of him and of one another. And that leads really to my final C, which is this idea of commitment. Commitment is all about putting beliefs and values into action. It's about doing what you say you will do, and it's integral to trust. Leaders must follow through on their commitments, and if they can't, they must be fully transparent on explaining why. More than ever, people expect institutions and corporations to commit and deliver on their promises. Jeff's commitment around eco-imagination was unquestionable, and he showed it very visibly in two ways. First, he announced annual, transparent performance goals and metrics designed by outside third parties to build trust with the skeptics, especially the environmental NGOs who said, gee, a big company couldn't do it, couldn't mean it. So he brought them under the tent and made them, in fact, the monitor. Second, he made our own guys, our own operating units, implement the concepts internally to build trust with our customers that we could and we would walk the talk and invest in these type of technologies ourselves. With those actions, we built trust with our two most important stakeholders outside of the company. So in conclusion, let me just say that trust is an essential ingredient to strong governments, civil societies, happy families, and healthy communities. It's crucial to how we interact as individuals and to how our institutions and businesses are judged. And yet, as I said earlier, we see increasing signs that it's becoming in short supply, especially in leadership. I encourage all of you to make a difference, to be that person and that leader who chooses to trust others and to be that person whom others can trust, whether you're at work, you're at a local charity, or you're at home. Keep strengthening your own foundation for trust and remember the 3 C's: Seek those opportunities to build your self-confidence and help you learn what your own moral compass is, so that you can have the courage to take the right action when those choices confront you. And then commit. Be the go-to person who does what they say they're going to do. I wish you all the best in the future that lies ahead of you. I congratulate you heartily on your success today. And let me finish with a quote from Golda Meir. Trust yourself. Create the kind of self that you will be happy to live with all your life. Make the most of yourself by fanning the tiny inner sparks of possibility into flames of achievement. Again, congratulations, and thank you for the honor and the opportunity to be with you all today.
Thank you, Dr. Allen. Now I call upon Dr. Stephen Grundy, Vice President, Academic and Provost, to present the recipients of the Governor General's Silver Medal and Gold Medal to the Chancellor.
The Governor General's Silver Medal and Gold Medal, established in 1873, are two of the most prestigious awards that can be received by a student in a Canadian educational institution for exceptional academic achievement. The Silver Medal is awarded to the graduating student who achieves the highest academic standard upon graduation from a bachelor's degree program this year. The recipient of the Governor General's Silver Medal is from our Bachelor of Arts in Justice Studies, Crystal Pearl Maria Cummings. Congratulations. The Governor General's Gold Medal is awarded to the graduating student who has presented the most outstanding thesis or graduate project this year. The recipient of the Governor General's Gold Medal is from our Master of Arts in Intercultural and International Communications program, Nancy Pamela Coldham. Could I now ask the graduands to please rise for presentation to the Chancellor? Mr. Chancellor, I present to you this graduating class of Royal Roads University on whom you have conferred the degrees, certificates, and diplomas to which they are entitled.
By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Governors and on the recommendation of the Academic Council of the University, I have admitted each of you to the credential for which you are entitled. I have invested you with all the due rights, privileges, and responsibilities thereto appertaining. May you always be mindful of the motto of this university, living our learning.
Please be seated. Mr. Chancellor and members of the Board of Governors, we will now present the graduates from their respective programs. We would like to acknowledge those graduates who are unable to attend today and are watching from abroad. I would now like to introduce Dr. Matthew Hines, Dean of the Faculty of Social and Applied Sciences.
Good afternoon. It is my pleasure to present to you today's graduates. On a procedural note, please hold your applause until we've presented the last graduate of a particular program. I am honored to present to you today graduates from our Master of Arts in Conflict Analysis and Management. Lieutenant Colonel George Michael Boyack. Una Patricia O'Connor, recipient of the Shirk Canada Graduate Master's Scholarship. Sorry. Pardon me. I am honored to present to you today graduates of the Masters in Arts in Disaster and Emergency Management. Zanelli Chido Mekwabeni. Paris to Najaf. William Bill James Pottruff. I am honored to present to you today graduates of the Master of Arts in Educational Leadership and Management. Leslie Aaron Corbett. Julie Ann David. Robert Morley Dodds. Anita Lynn Ham. Kimberly Ann Harvey. Catherine Elaine Kreiser. Trisha Lee McQuaig. Erin Leah Reed. Andrew David Rodford, recipient of the Chancellor's Award and the Founders Award. Jessica Bridget Schmidt. Amanda Louise Shopland. I'm honored to present to you today graduates from our Master of Arts in Environmental Education and Communication program. Eli Nathaniel Baker, recipient of the McLean Foundation Award for Environmental Studies. Patrick John Burns. Aaron John Dolan. Shannon Margaret Hardman. Nicole Rebecca Sir, recipient of the Shirk Canada Graduate Master Scholarship. Maya Celine Green, recipient of the Royal Roads University Entrance Award, the Shirk Canada Graduate Scholarship Masters, the Shirk Michael Smith Foreign Studies Supplement, the Irving K. Barber One World Scholarship, the Canadian Federation of University Women, and the TD Environmental Sustainability Scholarship. I am honored to present to you today graduates from our Master of Arts in Human Security and Peacebuilding program. Masume Hoamipur. I am honored to present to you today graduates from our Master of Arts in Intercultural and International Communication program. Christine Heidi Marie Anderson. Zenia Sachel Bajori. Siv Kristin Buchmüller. Nancy Pamela Coldham, recipient of the Governor General's Gold Medal. Alexa Celeste DeVors. Jamie Lee Eklund. Jennifer Lynn Fowler. Catherine Elizabeth Ann Goodwin. Jody Lynn Hackett. Jillian Lees Hansen. Leanne Harris. Deborah Ray Hole, recipient of the Lorna Malcolmson Memorial Award. Denise Rose Marie Johnson. Shane Tyler Johnson. Erin Hassami Coulterman. Eric Montague Meyer. Kelly Lynn Mikatish. Andrea Lee Morrow, recipient of the Wild Rose Alumni Impact Award, the Royal Roads University Entrance Award, and the Founders Award. Danielle B. Neer. Na Tien Te Nguyen. Angela Catherine Poss. Adis Samarjish. Justin John Schneider. Margaret D. Shorter. Lori Jean Robinson. Daniela Tuchel, recipient of the AUCC Students for Development, Irving K. Barber One World Scholarship, MyTux Accelerate, and the Royal Roads University Entrance Award. Surya Virapan. Andrea Pelferman, recipient of the Asper Foundation Communication Award. Lee Ann Weeby. Annette Francine Werstra, recipient of the Public Ethnography Award. I am honored to present to you today graduates from our Master of Arts in Interdisciplinary Studies program. Allison Jane Harl, recipient of the Chancellor's Award. Angela Jean Harvey. Nerina Elida Maria Holderness. Margaret Ann Therese Mahoney. Julie Ann Muehlberger. Deborah Laura Rasnick. Lara Spring Rook. I'm honored to present to you today graduates from our Master of Arts in Leadership program. Theodore Andrew Chan. Anne Marie DeSicco Best. Jessica Ann Dubois. Mark Alexander Evans. Amy Rain Fell. Amber Louise Gennaro, recipient of the Founders Award. Carolina Gonzalez Cortez. Kevin John Harms. Ingrid Maria Johnston. Amanda Louise Kirkham. Philip George Fordyce Legit. Spomenka Lomigorich. Marita Luke. Joel William Allen Matthews. Norman Stephen McInnes. Manaza Jabin Mitha. Jill Mary Skinner. Douglas David Soccer. Jennifer Kyla Stafura. Roberta Ellen Turton. Suzanne Weekend Dill. Bernadette Teresa Wellham. And Jessica Dawn Williams. I'm honored to present to you today graduates from our Master of Arts in Leadership Health program. Socha Victor Abuleal. Rashbinda Kaur Bad. Rajaj Nandalal Bateja. Donna Evelyn Bedell. Lori Cheryl Boothby. Jamie Teresa Callahan. Deanna Marie Sindrich. Lou Demare. Susan Lee Mitrosky. Carrie Hewitt. Corey Dawn Irvin. Deborah Lynn Klassen. Candy Joy Lipton. Sheila Marie Machen. Barbara Ann Milhorn. Greg Joseph Pauley. Marco Pelhan. Jennifer Jean Thur. Annette Susan Wall. Elaine Ann Watson. I am honored to present to you today graduates from our Master of Arts in Learning and Technology program. Jonah Eckert. Angela Marie Elter. Lucy Mary Ferreira, recipient of the Shirt Canada Graduate Master Scholarship. Linda Joan Findlay. Teresa Mildred Marie Gerlach. Kirksall Eaches. Holly Brenda Kreutzer. Radhika Kumari Kumar. Stephen Andrew Lacourcière. Catherine Ann Legg. Jason Yeats Maitland. Ian William McVicky, recipients of the Founders Award. William Sean Reed. Gordon John Reed. Deanne Teresa Rees. Abir Sadi Cousin. Roxanne Danielle Marie Smallwood. Charlotte Louise McPherson Levesque. Brenda May Weist. I am honored to present to you today graduates from our Master of Arts in Professional Communication program. Heather Margaret Anderson. Corinna Björnson. Andrea Lynn Boyes. Janine Lorraine Bradshaw. Dylan Edward Oliver Chandler. Sabrina Maria Viola Del Monte. Tara Sean Dodd. Haley Jean Finnegan. Eileen Janet Gates. Irvana Gotovas. Lynn Therese Graham. Gabriella Stephanie Stouffer Gruneweg, recipient of the Michael Reel Award. Catherine Adams Haboli. Haley Alice Hudson. Sherrod Carey. Moira Teresa King. Dana Joan Kosh. Robert Frank Koopmans. Tanya Loy Langar, recipient of the Founders Award. Sherry Marie O'Doyle. Matthew Earl Larson. Brennan Stacy McDonald. Shelley Ann McCrugan. Natasha Olga Melanchuk. Laura Elizabeth Medan. Benjamin Roy Morgan, recipient of the Royal Roads University Entrance Award. Fiona Elizabeth Morgan. Catherine Irene O'Rourke. Valerie Joy Pavlich. Heather Marie Pert. Michelle Lynn Preston. Rachel Jean Dunlop Robertson. Shireen Lundell Samuels, recipient of the Diana Beeson Memorial Award. Brittany Ann Segan. Craig Sorokin, recipient of the Public Ethnography Award. Danielle Keeley Sullivan, recipient of the Royal Roads University Entrance Award. Marguerite Ann Watson. Alan Gettler Wickware. Jeremy Philip Whittingstall. Derek Ganell Joseph. I'm honored to present to you today graduates from our Master of Science in Environment and Management program. Carolyn Kathleen Robb. Gordon William Peter Rutgers. I am honored to present to you today graduates from our Master of Science in Environmental Practice program. Lieutenant Commander Easton Hugh Dunkley. Krista Lynn Ranta. I'm honored to present to you today graduates from our Bachelor of Arts in Justice Studies program. Lauren Elise Burney. Nicole Daphne Bond. Ashley Boss. Nathan Samuel Collicott. Crystal Pearl Maria Cummings, recipient of the Governor General's Silver Medal, the Chancellor's Award, and President's Scholar. Robert Lloyd Fraley. Amapreet Kaur Gill. Crystal Marie Hansen. Ron Terry Yeager. Anjanpreet Javanda. Colin Tyler McPherson, recipient of the President's Scholar. Anne Marie Millington, recipient of the Founders Award and President's Scholar. Kim Ann Montour. Jocelyn Blake Sinclair. Joelle Mary Lynn Thibault. Julianne Marie Thorne. Deborah Jean Throssell. Deborah Helen Wilson. I'm honored to present to you today graduates from our Bachelor of Arts in Professional Communication program. Jody Lynn Beckowitz. Amanda Leah Bell. Brianna Marie Belzel. Noah Oscar Joseph Bollander. Evan Laurie Michael Burke. Shayna Shafia Bucks. Megan Crystal Catalano. Michael Singh Chagger. Caitlin Marie Cook. Thomas Matthew Cochran. Alyssa Mary Costerton Grant. Ashley Marie Evans, recipient of the Founders Award. Nicole Sherry Gagnon, recipient of the Founders Award. Aubrey Evelyn Galano. Ashley Gionet. Lisa Marie Gale Glover. Jason Darrell House. Lindsay Hershishan. Jamina Hu. Robin Peggy Hughes, recipient of the Royal Roads University Entrance Award. Caitlin Dorothy Jackson, recipient of the Royal Roads University Entrance Award. Candace Melanie Jones. Kyla Dawn Karakochak. Brian Thomas Kelly. Tracy Ann Kennedy, President Scholar. Kimberly Blair Kostashuk. José Julie Lafrance. Karina Marie Lazarich. Haley Postlethwaite Lopez. Lieutenant Commander Adriano Loza, President Scholar. Kirsten Elizabeth McCartney. Ricky Lynn McCush. Carolyn Catherine Mayron, President Scholar. Japneet Marwa, recipient of the Founders Award. Dorothy Maria McLaughlin. Corey Alvin McMaster. Amy Rebecca Mitchell. Michelle Christine Nordstrom. Paige Carolyn Paquette, recipient of the Aspra Foundation Communications Award and President Scholar. Candace Lilius Partland. Darcy John Patterson. Rachel Paulette Penner, President Scholar. Blair Elizabeth Pinnell. Justine Ann Fitalino Ramirez. Sarah Hildreth Rankin. Janelle Amanda Sakuchi. Christine Michelle Savard. Steve Sims. Corinne Elizabeth Skalbeck. Leslie Dawn Stempfel. Nicole Crystal Bernice Stewart. Amina Yasmin Saeed. Brenna Lynn Temple. Vance John Tarnowski. Ella Ray Traversy. Abigail Desiree Van Haren, recipient of the President's Scholar and the Chancellor's Award. Kelsey Alyssa Vanderzee. Kate Vianos. Jasmine Nicole Wauda. I'm honored to present to you today graduates from our Bachelor of Science in Environmental Science program. Bree Olivia Evelyn Haley, recipient of the BC Hydro Environmental Scholarship. Stephanie Suzanne James. Caitlin Brooke Mikowski, recipient of the Royal Roads University Entrance Award. Bradley James Miller, recipient of the Royal Roads University Entrance Award. Taisha Dawn Murphy. Kyle Dylan Ostman, recipient of the McTaggart-Cowan Project Leadership Award. Catherine Marie Roy, recipient of the Royal Roads University Custodial Housekeeping, Recycling, and Sustainability Award. Derek Ryan Shaw. Saranjit Lydia Singh. Bruno Luigi Tozo. Jenna Ann Williamson, President's Scholar, recipient of the McTaggart-Cowan Project Leadership Award. I'm honored to present to you today graduates from our Graduate Diploma in Conflict Analysis and Management program. Angela Justina Moeni. I'm honored to present to you today graduates from our Graduate Certificate in Values-Based Leadership program. Claire Elizabeth Gilbert. Erica Sister Taylor. I'm honored to present to you today graduates from our Diploma in Interdisciplinary Studies program. Al-Muhannad Ibrahim Habash. Thank you.
I don't know who's happier, the graduates or their family and friends, but it seems like there's a lot of happiness here this morning. You know, convocation signals at one phase kind of an end of your engagement with Royal Roads University, and I saw the smiles as they came through and picked up their certificates. But it also signals a beginning of a longer-term relationship, which is this imprint on your certification of the future that you are, in fact, an alumni and a graduate of Royal Roads. And I truly believe that that we as an institution have a responsibility to make you proud of the place that you have graduated from, as you make us proud by what you do as a result of being a graduation, as a graduate. So I encourage you to stay involved in the institution, to attend alumni events and connect online. Know that we want to hear from you, and we want you to continue to be engaged. The connections that you've made while on campus with fellow students and faculty are not lost at graduation. Use these relationships as a foundation for whatever you choose next. You know, these are pretty challenging times. And in an article on higher education in May, David Barish tried to make sense of the Boston Marathon bombing in a challenging article entitled, "Why We Need Enemies." And it was interesting as I read that talks about that evolutionary biologists debate whether we are biologically predisposed to be cooperative and to support each other, or be competitive and aggressive, focusing on the survival of the fittest. He suggests that the evolution of our brain results not only from our ability to respond to friends, which is to collaborate, but also the need to identify and respond to enemies. So think about that. According to George Bernard Shaw, the greatest tragedy in life is to be denied the thing one most wants. The second greatest tragedy, to get it. What defines success? Nietzsche puts it another way. Whoever lives for the sake of combating an enemy has an interest in that enemy staying alive. Barish goes on to observe that all too often nationhood and even selfhood are defined by one's opponents. So how do you define yourself? By what you achieve compared to others, or by what you don't do when compared to others? So graduates, how do you make a difference? What is your responsibility with the acquisition of knowledge? Where does your educational experience at Royal Roads fit into this challenging and troubling world? What is the enemy, the combatant, you have identified as a result of your experience at Royal Roads? How does that define your new journey? Can I suggest something that may provoke you? The answer may be expressed in Goya's great painting, "The sleep of reason produces monsters." We ask you to use reason, to be critical, to think and challenge ideas and conventions, to make the world a better place. Dr. Allen last night said she wanted provoke people to break rules, and then she said, I think it's just explore rules or bend rules, but the idea is the responsibility to act. We challenge you to take what you have learned and make a difference in society, to use your knowledge and skills you've acquired as you assume leadership roles in your communities and in your chosen fields. Work with us as alumni, as colleagues, to keep Royal Roads innovative, relevant, and adding value to the people of British Columbia and beyond. Will the graduates please rise? I ask members of family, friends, faculty, and staff of the university to join me in applauding each of you on the completion of your program. And while the graduates are standing, I invite you as graduates to applaud your family, friends, and faculty and staff who've helped you along the way. Thank you all, and please be seated.
Ladies and gentlemen, this completes the convocation. I would like to thank the many staff and faculty who have contributed to making this day successful. And to all our guests, thank you for sharing this special event with us. I've got to say that you listened well earlier today. You were the most responsive group I think I've seen. It will be very difficult to see what happens this afternoon. Stay posted. I'm the only person and the president, when people come across the stage, the smiles, the joy. First said, I did it. And you did it. Congratulations. Those smiles, you put them all together, you can light up the world. You have no idea what a significant day it is, so enjoy it. The formality of our proceedings demonstrates the importance we attach to the traditions of higher learning. And we hope the pomp and circumstances have contributed to making this day truly memorable.
Now, please rise and remain standing at your seats until the academic platform party has exited the theater. And to our graduates, again, we say, congratulations. May you venture always to make a difference, to seek ways to inspire those around you, and to continue to excel in all you do.